Good morning. You're listening to WPVM LP in Asheville, North Carolina, 103.7 on your dial and globally at WPVMFM.org. I'm your host, Laura Wagenknecht, president and owner of Mosaic Business Consulting, and you're listening to In Awe, which stands for Inspiring and Advancing Working Excellence. And we are looking for guests to be on the show. So if you're interested, please contact me, Laura, at 828-338-2833. Again, that's 828-338-2833, or contact me via email at laura@mosaicbusinessconsulting.com. Today, my guests, I'm so excited, are Dr. Robert and Haley McCloskey. And Robert McCloskey is a doctor of physical therapy and one of only a few certified Indigo Exoskeleton instructors in the country. He has a special interest in treating individuals following spinal cord injury, which is fascinating to me, stroke, traumatic brain injury. We have heard so much of that of late, and neuromuscular disorders like multiple sclerosis. This is amazing. So Robert is highly interested in using healthcare technology in new and exciting ways to improve patient outcomes and care. Haley, his wife, Haley McCloskey, is a sales and marketing professional who is thrilled to direct a company that creates meaningful change in people's lives. And I can't wait to hear more about this. She believes that the specialized care that Next Level Rehab provides enriches the entire community. Haley is the business lead behind Next Level Rehab, making it possible for this work to come alive in Western North Carolina. I can't wait to hear all about this. So let's get this started. And just curious, very interesting backgrounds, both of you. Welcome to both of you. Maybe you want to wave to your fans.
Hello, fans. Hello.
It's so great to have you on the show. And I have to admit, though, I'm intrigued by this Indigo Exoskeleton instruction. Maybe you could start us out, Robert, by letting us know a little bit more about what this is. And yeah.
Sure. So the Indigo Exoskeleton is essentially a pair of robotic legs that allows somebody who's unable to stand and walk. It gets them upright, it gets them standing, it gets them walking, and it's traditionally used in it's traditionally used in in a hospital setting for rehabilitation purposes following a stroke or like a spinal cord injury. So it's a robot, it's robotic legs essentially.
And so when you say that, are these those things that I think I've seen this maybe on 60 Minutes or something? Perhaps I've seen that, maybe, I don't know.
It's very possible. Yeah. It's very possible. It's been getting more and more attention the last couple of years, and so it's certainly possible.
And so they're attached to the legs. They're attached to the spinal cord. How does that thing work?
Sure. So really good question. So it does not attach physically to like the spinal cord. It's an exoskeleton. So it's on the outside of somebody's legs. And imagine like a belt. The most upright piece of it attaches around the waist, and then just as our legs attach into our waist, there's essentially a robotic piece of equipment that attaches from the upper leg into the waist, and then there's a robotic piece of equipment that attaches from the foot up to the upper leg. So it's 5 pieces total. That the hip piece that's in the center, and then there's upper leg, followed by a lower leg. And this device, when it's all connected, allows this person who's unable to stand and walk, it gets them upright, standing, and walking.
I cannot imagine what that must feel like. I'm just imagining, okay, so I've had some sort of debilitating thing going on, and suddenly I can't move my legs. And then suddenly you're telling me that this thing that you're attaching to me on the outside not only gets me upright, but helps me move?
Correct. So it has 4 powerful motors, one at each hip joint and one at each knee joint, and these all act independently. So we can adjust the settings based on the specific needs of an individual patient. But yes, this thing is it's adjustable. So anybody from 5'1" up to 6'4" can fit in this device.
Wow.
And up to 250 pounds. 250 pounds is kind of the maximum weight. So it's really customizable. It's lightweight. It weighs 39 pounds. It breaks down into these 5 pieces that I described, and it's easy to put into like a duffel bag or put in the back of a car so people can use it out in the community. You can fly with it, you can travel with it, which makes it a great tool for people to use. Yeah, it offers a lot of options in terms of mobility for people who can't walk.
Wow.
And yeah, Laura, I'll
please,
just
Haley.
touch on kind of what you're asking initially about. It must feel strange and incredible for people who are normally sedentary. If they have a spinal cord injury and are paralyzed. We worked with a gentleman recently who was paralyzed for 25 years. And, getting upright and moving his legs, he could feel the circulation in his legs.
Wow.
And, he doesn't usually feel that. And it is just mind boggling. It's emotional for people and for their families who watch, their spouse who's been in a wheelchair for 25 years, walking, and it's incredible.
Wow. And I'm just imagining this person suddenly seeing the world from a new perspective again. After 25 years of seeing it in a chair, now they're seeing it, oh, this is what I felt like to be my height before. Oh my gosh, what a gift.
Right. The same gentleman that Haley's talking about, his name is Chablis. He lives in Charlotte. So he's 6'2", and when he's sitting in the chair, he says, I'm like 3'5" to 4 feet tall, and I've been sitting for 25 years, and we got him upright, we got him standing, and he said, "Holy smokes, this is just a totally different view, and it feels new again." Like he says, walking feels new, and it's just such a powerful experience to be able to stand upright and look at somebody eye to eye rather than always looking up at them. Or there's another gentleman we work with who he stood up and he says, one of the greatest things about this is just to be able to stand and sip on a cup of coffee and look out the window, just to be able to look out the windows again, and so it really brings a physical component. There's a very important physical thing, but emotionally and psychologically, it's a very powerful tool as well.
Excuse me. Yeah, I can only imagine. I'm thinking that they, if I'm, putting myself in their shoes, just thinking, oh, now I can stand, and not just, just feeling maybe whole again. Is that a good analogy, or?
I think, it's such a great question, because it's so hard for us to understand, like as able-bodied people who can stand and walk. But in the words of this other gentleman, Lyle Fleming, he says, when I'm sitting down in my chair, I feel a little bit like a misfit. He says, I'm not a misfit, but I feel like that. It's like everybody's up and standing and I'm not able to do that. But when I'm up, I feel normal again. And as he was sharing this story with me, like tears are running down his face. And it's just it's a common experience. Like people, they're able to use this piece of equipment, and it's like a life changer. It's a game changer, big time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm just thinking about the types of clients that come to see you. You have maybe like had 25 years. What are also some other clients that might come to see you?
Sure. Haley, do you want to speak to?
Sure. Yeah. So we've worked with a woman who has multiple sclerosis, and her, what she said to us is it feels like each leg has 20-pound weights on them.
Oh,
so she's able to walk with a walker, and she's been able to for some time, but still it's hard for her to pull her foot up, very high. So what that means is she's a fall risk. And so these 20-pound weights on her legs, make it difficult to walk, especially far, because it's a lot of, she needs to have a lot of endurance. And so what she found when using the exoskeleton is it felt like she used it for 2 sessions, and then after the second session, it felt like she had 3-pound weights on her legs instead of 20 pounds.
Oh, wow.
What it did, because it kind of just started to retrain her brain how high she was supposed to be lifting her knee, and and Robert can speak more to the technology behind it, but it rebuilds the neuroplasticity in our brain, connects our brain and our body and helps rebuild that neuroplasticity. Yeah. So other clients outside of someone like Virginia who has multiple sclerosis, someone who's had a stroke or a traumatic brain injury, and really it can be kind of broad. Anybody who has trouble walking or has trouble walking due to muscle weakness or paralysis, but also due to a lack of endurance. So it could be someone who had COVID, for example, had a very bad bout with it. They're in the hospital. They lost all of, they became very weak and lost all their endurance. We could get them in it, and it could provide assistance to get them back to where they used to be.
And what about somebody who has maybe neuropathy in their feet or neuropathy in their legs or something where just that mobility, they're nervous about walking, so they've lost some balance because they don't feel in their feet, and so they land on their feet, but they're not feeling it, so they don't know that they're really firmly on the ground. What about something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really strong example as well, because I mean, as you described, people with neuropathy, they don't feel things, their balance gets compromised, and then the result of that often is fear and an increasingly sedentary sort of a lifestyle. So what we can do with that type of an individual is provide them, stability through the exoskeleton. We can give them some robotic assistance if needed, and that can help rebuild that walking endurance, the walking confidence, and rebuild some of those ideal kind of gait patterns that may have been lost. So there are a number of ways that we can use this device depending on the specific individual. Haley mentioned stroke, and one of the most common things that we see following stroke is typically one side of the body is affected, so it gets really weak or like flaccid almost. And what we can do is use the exoskeleton as a rehabilitation training program to help retrain and rebuild connections through the damaged part of the brain to help improve those gait patterns or some of the gait deviations that have developed. So often we see a lot of heaviness of a leg or like a foot drop. And through clinical research, this has been validated through clinical research. We see significant improvements to step symmetry, to step speed, to just overall ability to walk using this device as a rehab tool. So we can use it for rehabilitation, we can use it for exercise, we can use it to help increase somebody's confidence walking, for endurance. There's a number of different ways, and they're all really powerful that we can use this depending on the specific individual.
And so how many treatments are you talking about for somebody to come in? I can't imagine that somebody who's been paralyzed for 25 years suddenly gets an exoskeleton and then they just for rehab, and then they suddenly can walk. That's probably not going to happen, right? So tell me about the types of treatments and how often and how long are they in that exoskeleton?
Sure. So, and Haley, feel free to jump in. So I think it's important to note that essentially we have two different types of services. We have a rehabilitation service for somebody who is able to walk right now, but they have difficulty walking or they have some balance issues. But the caveat is, or the key for rehabilitation is that they're able to walk at some level right now. And our goal is to help them improve and increase their speed, their safety, their stability, and to wean them off of the exoskeleton treatment to get them back to walking normal. The other avenue of our service is really like exercise and wellness. So you mentioned somebody who's paralyzed, somebody like our friend Chablis in Charlotte. He's been paralyzed for 25 years. He's not going to relearn to walk using this exoskeleton. However, he's able to stand up. He's able to use it out in the community. He's able to get this great exercise. There are physical, emotional, quality of life improvements, like really important stuff that this type of individual can use. And one of the keys is really preventing a lot of secondary health complications that somebody who's paralyzed, somebody who sits all day, we're really trying to prevent a lot of that stuff that develops when somebody goes sedentary. And the clinical research shows that we can do that. So we offer rehabilitation on one wing, and then we offer exercise and wellness for somebody who's not able to walk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, so depending on whether someone can rehabilitate or if someone is fully, you know, paralyzed with a severed spinal cord, will depend on how many sessions we work with them. So, and also like just the severity of their mobility challenges, if it's someone who's like had a stroke, for example. And so Robert will base the amount of sessions on their mobility goals. And also he builds the like the care plan, the rehabilitation plan for them based on clinical study results. So there, Robert, could you speak to that? You could probably speak to it better than I could.
Sure. So, so I mean, Laura, you bring up an excellent question. You know, how long does it take? How long does it take to recover? And this is a really common question.
And I'm sure that it's individualized. I'm not suggesting it's not, but at the same time, does somebody have to come in 5 days a week, 3 days a week?
Yeah.
You know, what's the
Sure. So for a rehabilitation program, so we base it off of there's one article that I'd be happy to send out or refer to, but what we see is an 8-week rehabilitation program going 3 times a week. And in this particular study, it changed. This was a study specific to spinal cord injury, incomplete spinal cord injury, which means that this person has some muscle preservation already below the level of their injury. So they're able to move like their legs a little bit, but they're not able to walk mostly. So it ended up, it was 8 weeks, 3 times a week. And the number of people who were able to walk went from 20% up to like 56% after this 8-week rehabilitation program. So that's what we've really kind of modeled our rehab on is on this study. And this type of study has been mirrored multiple times. And there's a lot of great data supporting that design. So that's what we're targeting our rehab program on. However, we track outcome measures. So it's great to say you offer rehabilitation, but you have to quantify and you have to really show significant change that really justifies the treatment. So we take baseline measures of mobility, strength, balance, and so on, and then intermittently we will track those. We'll retest to check for improvements. And based on the results that we see with that individual, that can justify going further and further towards that 8-week program, for example. Because we want the care, we want our services to have value, to be creating significant change, and we demonstrate that change using these clinically validated outcome measures. So we build that into our programs.
And then if someone has had a complete spinal cord injury, so they're paralyzed, they can use it as like little or as much as they want to. So it's very healthy, like Robert said, for like, actually, I don't know if he mentioned this, but for bowel and bladder function, for heart and lung function, for bone density. Wow. There are many other benefits for someone who is paralyzed to use this. So it's, it's not cheap. And so someone has to be able to afford it. But if someone came once a week or, twice a week for a few months, they could be feeling really good and really improve their health. And then, maybe take some time off. So it's just so dependent on what's their current level of health.
Sure.
Right. Do they, like our friend, Chablis, who we worked with, he goes to the gym 3 times a week. So he is already getting some, blood flowing and he's got a lot of strength in his upper body and core. So he might not need it as much as someone who doesn't go to the gym and they are only in their chair and, in their bed or whatever. So,
okay. But you lend yourself to the next question, which I had, which was, does insurance cover this? Are you working with insurance companies, and how would a person afford this? What is a typical treatment cost? I mean, I'm going directly to the You know, I can't imagine this is cheap.
Yes.
Like you said, it's pretty expensive. So what's the scoop?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, right now, the insurance, well, actually, Robert, I'd rather you cover the insurance component. I will say we are not taking insurance right now. So we are a very new company. We opened about a month ago.
Oh, okay.
And we have decided to start with a cash-based model. And we're investigating what it would look like to take insurance. But there are some challenges that that physical therapists and a lot of other people experience working with the insurance companies.
Sure.
Robert has more experience in that than I do. And the sessions cost will vary depending on a commitment. So, you know, we have packages that someone could buy. If someone just wants one session, we have an hourly rate. Versus if someone says, you know, I want the rehabilitation package and I want to, you know, work with you for 8 weeks, then that's going to be a lower cost per session, for example.
Understood. And I can imagine that, you know, announcing your pricing is probably not a thing you want to do at this point. And I do understand what you're talking about, the health insurance companies. It is a process to be part of a health insurance company, and there's negotiation of contracts that needs to happen and all of that. So I get that. And that's a process that takes 6 months or longer often for somebody to become part of that system. So I can appreciate what you're speaking to there. But and I've heard a whole bunch of information about the exoskeleton itself, but tell me a little bit more about Next Level Rehab, because that's a little bit different, right? It's not just a rehab place. There's something else going on. So tell me.
Haley?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We do not have a brick and mortar location today. We're working with folks out in the community and in their homes. And so traditionally, exoskeletons only live in the hospital or a rehab setting. And Robert used to work for the device manufacturer. He traveled around the country training rehab and hospital staff, physical therapists, et cetera, how to use this device. And he saw the transformative, you know, transformations that would happen from people using it. And he said, let's take this to our community. There isn't an exoskeleton in this region. The closest one, I think, is in a different company or a different brand is in Charlotte. And so we said, you know, we want to offer these services here, and we are really wanting to take it out of that clinical sterile setting and get people out into their community,
their own environment,
different
right?
Parts. Yeah, their own environment in someone's home, even if it's conducive to working with the tool there. And the other thing that we're really excited about is we've partnered with the Asheville Racquet Club.
Oh,
nice. They have an indoor track where, we work with clients around their indoor track. And then their downtown location has an outside like golf course and a nice outdoor area that we can work with clients. So we've really enjoyed our partnership with Asheville Racquet Club. And our clients have said, you know, I love being out in nature and feeling the wind while I'm getting the benefits of this physical therapy. I'm also enjoying my time in nature, and their friends and family come, which is always fun they get cheered on by their friends and family. And so it's a different model than anyone's ever done with an exoskeleton.
Fantastic. I love that. And so I understand that you have some things called special event services. What are special event services? And Robert, what part do you play in that?
Sure. So special event services, yes, we're really excited about this specifically. So like Haley said, you know, there's this exoskeleton. It's typically only in a hospital, and it's used for rehab, and that's great, and that's an awesome way to use it. But we know that we can do more with it, so we offer special event services. So imagine you're you're paralyzed, but it's going to be your wedding, and you want to walk
Oh
down the
my
aisle
gosh.
to go meet,
Oh, wow.
to meet your husband or your bride, or you're the father of the bride and you've been in a wheelchair, and it would just be awesome if you could stand up and
To
walk down
walk
the
her
aisle.
down the aisle or something. Oh my gosh, I
Exactly.
can't imagine.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's an awesome example of how we can use this, and it's not currently being done. So we want to change that. So that's one example. Another example would be like an award ceremony or some sort of a corporate event where somebody would get up on stage and give a speech or give a talk, and we want to offer that. Or it could be something simple like planning out like a romantic evening, like with a spouse, like walking along like the French Broad River Park, and just being outside and just enjoying being upright and being active and mobile. And we want to create that for people. And so this particular exoskeleton, the Indigo, like we said, it breaks down, it's easy to travel with. So we could meet somebody like here locally, or if they're out of state, we could meet them out of state, we could travel with it, and we can help these folks create these events that they're like trying to dream up. So that's just I mean, Haley, anything that you'd want to add to that?
No, I mean, we're very excited about it, and we don't have anyone yet, but we are dreaming of making someone, you know, I know how important, like a lot of little girls dream of what their wedding is going to be like, and they plan it, you know, for years, and getting into a car accident could change their whole plan, you know, and so we want to, just kind of give someone that gift. And so what we would do is we would go to wherever they are. So like Robert said, we could go anywhere in the country, and we would train them in advance and in the specific location so that everything, you know, worked as smoothly as possible. And so they were prepared. We would be there to support them. And that's
exciting. I can't imagine that. You know, you do hear of these stories where, you know, I want to be with that. I want to be able to walk down the aisle, you know, that kind of thing. So that's awesome. What do you guys have any kind of upcoming events for yourself that's happening? Do you have a grand opening per se, in a sense, happening, or anything like that?
We don't necessarily, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't be planning something. But we don't have anything that, you know, we've communicated. Do you mean was it last week?
Good. Yeah.
Well, last week we did the Inca Candler Farmers Market.
Oh, wow.
So they had it was a health and wellness focused market. We brought the exoskeleton, and he was just sitting there in a chair, and people got to walk by, and we talked to a lot of people about what we're offering, and they got to see the exoskeleton. So we're looking for events and things like that to get into the community, to spread awareness of and get exposure. And then we are doing something that isn't necessarily community focused, but we're doing, so the AB Tech has, you know, in their small business center, a program called Spark Tank. You maybe heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things that they offer is like presentation. They call it Catapult. It's where they provide mentorship. And so we're next week going to go do a presentation for, I think he said 7 to 10, you know, business leaders in our community, and we give them a presentation, and then they can give us some feedback on, you know, how to overcome some of the challenges that we are facing. And that is one thing I wanted to share, Laura, is we've been blown away at the number of resources in our community for small businesses and entrepreneurs. I mean, you know, we've done the Mountain BizWorks business planning course. We have SCORE mentors who are incredible. We're doing this Catapult event, and, you know, we've worked with AB Tech, Small Business Center, and there's so many more that we haven't done, the 1 million cups. So we're so thankful, and we're working as hard as we can to use all of the resources that we have.
And
get out into the community. And
you're speaking of so many free resources too that a lot of people don't know about. So I really appreciate you mentioning all those, because, you know, I think that that is a key component to the success that we've had of businesses in this area, and not having as many percentage-wise close as in some other areas of the nation. So that was kind of key. That's really nice to hear. So if people wanted to learn more about you, where can they go to learn more about you?
Well, they could go to our website, which is www.nextlevelrehabasheville.com. Or we also have some really fantastic videos and photos of us working with clients, and some really cool and exciting testimonials from some of our clients on our Instagram and Facebook page. And both of those are Next Level Rehab Asheville. So Instagram, Facebook, Next Level Rehab Asheville.
Nice.
Some really, really exciting content on there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I got to say thanks to you guys, because this was incredible information to learn about. I had no idea this thing existed, no idea the benefits that people could get from this. So I really appreciate you sharing everything. This is fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Really. Yeah, it's such a treat to be able to talk about it and share. We're really excited about it. And it is, as you said, it's a life-changing technology. And one thing that we haven't talked about, if there's a couple more minutes, could I
maybe
share
not,
a little
but
bit?
okay. If not, we'll end it, but that's okay. Keep going.
Okay. So the one thing is, we use an exoskeleton that is the therapy model. So like I said, it's adjustable. It's 5'1" to 6'4", and they offer a personalized device. So it's a custom fit one that's for purchase, but it's a very expensive piece of equipment. Like the purchase price, this is public information. The purchase price is roughly $80,000, which is a tremendous price, right? So it's a tremendous price, and most people who could really benefit from using it can't afford $80,000.
No.
So, right, exactly. So, but if you're a veteran or you have workers' compensation benefits, and you have a spinal cord injury it's very specific. It's at level T, thoracic, T3 and below.
Okay.
You can get the Indigo and all the training at no cost. And so this is not so people don't really know this. And so part of what we're trying to do is increase visibility to this kind of technology, but also guide people who have these types of unique benefits, so VA benefits or workers' compensation benefits. We want to guide them through the process of acquiring these and then getting them the training so they can use their benefits and get it at no cost, because it really is awesome, and we're excited about increasing the use of it. And our hope is that go ahead, sorry.
Well, you were saying T3 and below. So you're saying up at it's almost at the neck, all the way down, anywhere from there down, because I just want to clarify what that thoracic means. So definitely the sacroiliac, the sacrum, all of that stuff, the S1 through S5, right? So I'm thinking of that. That's a lot of your back.
It is a lot. Yeah.
Nice.
So it is so somebody who has an injury at T3, which is pretty high, it's like it's right about here, or below, can get this. They can either purchase it if they can afford $80,000, which is quite a lot. But
I'm thinking of the veterans. I'm specifically thinking of all the veterans that could use this help. So
right. So
we have a veterans that are here.
Yeah, they do. And we're working to connect with them as well, because we want these folks to know that there are ways around this big hurdle, this $80,000 hurdle. And so our hope is that when more people see this type of equipment in the community, that'll help drive innovation and competition. And the result of that is it's going to reduce these really important pieces of equipment, the price of it, where it's going to make them more affordable for people. So that's another big objective that we have, is to connect these folks and guide them through the process so they can get the device at no cost.
Fantastic. Well, I really cannot say thank you enough. I'm just in awe of the whole exoskeleton, all the benefits that somebody could receive from this, and the varied diagnoses that it can assist people. It's just amazing. So thank you so much. It's been great to have both you and Robert and Haley on. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Thank
My
you
goodness,
so
thanks so
much.
much.
And thank you for listening to In Awe, inspiring and advancing working excellence on every Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. I'm Laura Wagenknecht. Stay tuned to The Empowered Whistleblower with Dawn Westmoreland right at here on WPVM LP in Asheville, North Carolina, 103.7 on your dial and globally at WPVMFM.org. Have a great one, guys.